Hey guys, it's Lori. I have tried to make this video for 2 days now, and then we're coming to the end of the second day, and probably about 4 or 5 times. So if you're seeing this, I actually succeeded. I was able to make it, film it, edit it, upload it. So how are you? Today is Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo for those of you who celebrate it, and for those of you who don't, I hope you have a happy May 5th too. I want to talk about spirit connection. I want to talk about spirit communication. I want to talk about the other side. I think I'm going to have to break it down into maybe 3 videos, because if I don't, I'm probably going to talk one long video. So I'll probably break it down into 3. The first one, I'm going to talk about, like, how do you know if an angel or a spirit of God is around you. Sorry, the animals are fighting. See, here we go. Here we go. This is it, exactly. They never do this. Guys, come on. Speaking of negative entities, there is definitely one around me recently. I have some stories to tell about that. I'm not going to go into that in the video, but so I've decided to back off a little bit on certain things, only because I got to take some time to cleanse and to get things kosher. I'll probably add a couple tips into this video about that. Anyway, there I go off blabbing again. So is there another side? Are there different realms? When we leave this physical body, where do we go? What happens? I'll tell you what I know through my own experience, through what I've received, and what I've heard from others. Knowledge, wisdom, spirit, communication, that kind of thing. So absolutely yes, yes, and yes. There is absolutely another side. We could even venture deeper down the rabbit hole and talk about parallel universes, the string theory, different other theories. I don't want to talk about that though right now, because that'll take us off of our focus. I want to talk about basically what most people mean when they say the other side, which would be other than this physical world, the spiritual realms, where the physical body is no longer needed. So when we die, do we go somewhere else? Yes, the spirit lives on. So the physical body dies. When you go to the cemetery, or if you have, somebody's ashes in an urn or whatever, that is the body. It's dead, it's gone, whether it's an animal or person. And yeah, we keep the ashes in memory of, we bury people in the ground with the headstone in memory of, but you don't have to go to that grave site. You don't have to talk to the box or the urn or whatever. So immediately upon death, and sometimes even prior, the spirit jumps out of the body, because now it's moving on. And where the spirit goes, the body is no longer necessary. So if you've lost a loved one, and that's going to be in part 2 when I'm talking about loved ones that have crossed over. I'll mention it a couple times here. But if you've lost a loved one, that person is not dead. They're not lost. I've had a lot of actual spirits that say that. I'm not lost. I'm still right here. Something that's lost. If we say something's lost, that indicates that we don't know where it is. Well, just because we've never been there, or we can't say specifically how to get there, doesn't mean that we don't know where they are. We know they're in the spirit realm. We know that they're alive. And hopefully you believe that. Hopefully you know that to be true, one step further than believing, because when you know it to be true, the sting of death is not so great. Now, I'm not going to say you're not going to miss your loved one. I'm not going to say that you won't grieve, mourn, cry, go through all the stages of grief, be angry, whatever. But the sting is not as severe. It's just not, because you know that you are grieving for yourself. You are grieving for what could have been. But as far as the person that you love, when you know about the other side, you know that they're okay. So it takes away some of that pain, or changes the grief, I should say. Because I'm not going to say that people that believe don't grieve and don't have pain. That's not what I'm saying. But what about angelic beings? What about angels, demons, that kind of thing? Yes, so there are beings that are not human beings, that are not animals, they weren't born into, they were created into a different realm. Okay, so their homeland is not here, neither is ours. So that's a kind of a strange way to say it, but they're higher frequency beings. They're different beings. They're not the same as humans. So when people sometimes lose a loved one, they'll say, "Oh, that's my angel now," or "That's my guardian now." And angels are not people, and people do not become angels. So people remain people, and angels are angels. Let's just get that straight. That doesn't mean I don't say anything when people say that, because most of the time it's just an expression. Um, it doesn't mean they're not watching over you and they're not kind of looking out for you, but that they're not angels. Angels are a completely different species, a different being completely. And there are, angel just means messenger. That's all it means. And there are different angels. It's like a hierarchy almost. We've got the kingdom, and we've got all the positions that go along in the kingdom. Angelic beings are doing their job, whatever their job is, to send us messages and guidance, sometimes for protection. Sometimes they're um, working to put together certain situations. So, how do they communicate with us? They do interact with us. People that say they don't, they're wrong. They do. They do interact with us. They're on a mission. We don't call them to a mission. We don't call them to do work for us. God does. Okay? So God will set it up. So if you have something to ask God to send the angels if you want to work with angels. Um, don't ask the angels directly, okay? Because then you're pretty much tying their hands. And I know a lot of people don't believe that, but I'm just telling you what I know to be true. Um, so you're kind of tying their hands if you're asking them directly, because they will not step outside whatever their mission is. So they need to be sent, with orders from God to carry out whatever. So what I suggest is you ask God, send the angels, or and that way they can work directly with you. A guardian angel is there to protect, and you might say, well, if we've got a guardian angel and they're there to protect, why did I get in that accident? Why did I fall down? Why did my husband beat me? Why did my wife, whatever. Um, because we have a thing called free will, and they're not going to just intervene. They're definitely angels of light, angels of God are definitely gentlemen, so to speak. They're genderless, by the way. I know a lot of people portray them as female. um, in my experience, I've always seen them, felt them, heard them as male. I'm not saying they're all male, because they are genderless. They're not a gender. um, I've always seen them that way, though. That doesn't mean anything, though. That's just me. Where was I? What was I talking about? Does anybody recall? I hate when I do that. Okay, so yeah, so it's okay to work with the. Oh, so why do they allow negative things to happen? Because we have free will. We make our own choices. Certain things, I don't want to say God makes them happen, but God knows that because of our choices, or perhaps not. Perhaps it could just be because you know what? Sometimes negative things just happen, and it's nobody's fault. But they will be allowed because looking past that, there is a chance for spiritual growth. There is a chance for an epiphany, a learning moment. So it'll be allowed to happen to play that out. Other things they are allowed to intervene in. Okay, so it's really, they're not allowed to just do anything. Okay. but absolutely they can protect us. And I think a lot of the times, in retrospect, if you look back and you say, well, yeah, I kind of had a feeling I shouldn't have gone that way, or I kind of had a feeling that that relationship wasn't good, or you know what I mean, that could be divine guidance. You could have been hearing that from an angel, but yet you chose to take a different route. You chose to um, whatever led you to that negative incident. And again, I know sometimes negative things just happen. I'm not saying everything is due to our choices, but many times negative things that happen are due to our choices, our decisions, or lack of, right? Sometimes they're also due to attacks on us. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole other subject. Okay, so how do you know if there's an angel or another entity around? Okay, I'm going to start with angels. Then I'm going to go on to the negative just real quick. I don't want to make this video too long. And part 2 is going to be about our deceased loved ones that have left this physical realm. And then I think part 3, I'm just going to talk a little bit about a combination. A combination. Okay, so sometimes, okay, I think most people are aware that angels talk in numbers. Sometimes you keep seeing 111 or 111 or 222 or 2222 or it's like a series of numbers, or a series of a combination of numbers: 1212, 333, 777, 555. It just seems like every time you look at that clock, it's 111 or 1111, and you just happen to look at the right time, or it's 555, or you see, license plates with 555, whatever. If you're seeing numbers repeatedly, or even if you've just put something out there and asked for something, or asked for wisdom or something, and then you see numbers, chances are that is an answer. Um, Another way that they contact us, I think people, and these are like really common ways people kind of recognize feathers. Just a feather seems to fall out of nowhere, and um, I like to joke with people when they say, "Oh my goodness, a gray feather fell right in front of me. What does that mean?" And I'll be like, "A gray bird lost their feather," But I know what they mean. It could be an angelic message, absolutely. If you see feathers that seem to come from nowhere, if you're seeing feathers everywhere you go, that could be angelic. Pennies from heaven, that could be an angelic message. If you're coins, pennies in particular, that could also be from a loved one too. Um, Many of these things could be from a loved one too. Different animals sometimes will come in answer to a question or as a message. Angels sometimes talk to us through dreams. You can tell the difference if it's like a prophetic dream, or if you've gone somewhere in a different realm, maybe with angels in a dream. It feels different. Sometimes people hear the ruffling of feathers as if a bird is coming by, or they'll just like hear it out of the blue. Um, if you hear that and there's no birds around, there's no reason to hear that, could be an angel around. Sometimes we hear them like physically in this physical realm, hear them like you're hearing me. Sometimes they will actually speak to you. Um, Other times you might feel like tingling on the top, right at the crown chakra. Um, they could either be talking to you or actually downloading information to you. Have you ever had like this just amazing idea, and you really feel passionate about it? It kind of pops in and you're like, that can't be from me. I would have never thought of that. Or maybe an answer comes to you and you're like, no, I'm not that smart. That's angelic communication. That's the guidance I was talking about that sometimes we don't take and leaves us, Sometimes there's a smell, a very sweet smell. We got to be careful with that too, because sometimes the negative entities, demons, know how to manipulate smells to kind of trick us. Actually, with any of these signs, so we've got the feathers, we've got the numbers, we've got actual voices, music. You could see sometimes they're funny. They'll actually show you a sign. So if somebody keeps repeating, like if if you go one place and people are talking about a subject, and then you go to another and people are talking about, and they may not even be talking to you, but you keep hearing something repeatedly, chances are that's an angel trying to get a message across to you. Okay, like I said, we temperature change. If it's an angel of God, or a light being that's working in the light with God, sometimes you can get like a sudden temperature change, but it's warm. It's not cold. It can give you a nice, comforting, tingly feeling. It's not uncomfortable. It may freak you out a little because it comes on so suddenly, but it's not painful. It's not uncomfortable. You may feel like you're being touched, but it feels good. It feels loving. It could even feel electrical, but it doesn't. It might shock you, pardon the pun, um, but not in a painful way, you know? Um, Sometimes people see light, or maybe there will be a light just before, you know? I knew a couple once. She she had cancer, and she was in the later stages of cancer, and they wanted her to live, but it wasn't looking good. And they actually heard the ruffled feathers, and they're like, "What is that?" They were both sleeping. They woke up, and they both described an angel on their couch. And neither one of them reacted. They both just stood there and looked, and then went back to bed and just went right back to sleep. That's another thing. They seem to have like a hypnotic effect on you. If you do happen to see them, they seem to have like a hypnotic effect on you. Angels can actually appear any way they choose to. So can demons. So you gotta be careful of that. They can come, as guy walking down the street that's just going to help you suddenly, and then he disappears. I had a friend who had car trouble. Out of nowhere, she said this tow driver showed up. She didn't have any money. He didn't say much, just smiled at her, got her car out of the ditch or whatever it was, and went to walk away. And she's like, "Hey, I want to pay you." And he didn't say anything. He just said, and she's like, "No, really, can I at least have your address so I can send you something?" And he said no. And then she said, "Well, can I at least have your name?" And he turned around and he said, "People call me Gabe." The interesting part about that, she came back and she told me, and I was like, "Archangel Gabriel." And she goes, "Who's that?" She had no idea. So isn't that really cool? She didn't know there was an Archangel Gabriel. And I know she was being sincere about that. So yeah, through numbers, through signs, through like an electric feeling, through temperature change, through like that. It can feel sometimes like goosebumps, or like a tingling or static or something like that. But right at the crown, an idea that comes out of nowhere, a warmth, a hug, a dream through other people. If you get any kind of sign like that and you're thinking, "Okay, am I crazy? Am I making too much out of this?" It's a simple thing. Just say, "Hey, God, if that was for me, and sometimes it takes me a while, you would know that. Can you show me again? Can you have the angel tell me a different way?" Don't tell them to knock you over the head. I hear people say that, "Oh, knock me over the head, I need it." And the next thing you know, they're on the ground because they got hit by a car. Don't, like I said, sometimes they have a sense of humor. They're not going to hurt you, but okay. So where there's angels, where there's light, there's also darkness. Now, one thing I want to say about demonic beings or fallen angels, they're manipulative, they're cunning, they're smart, they're super intelligent, and they have much more spiritual knowledge than any human being here. So even if you study scripture, or if you know every religion known to man, or if you are at such a high vibration that you just think something and it happens like immediately, whatever, you could be the biggest, smartest guru, these beings know more than you do, and they're very manipulative. I always like to tell the younger folk, devil's not going to show up with horns and a red cape. Okay, He's going to show up as your dream come true. He's going to show up as that perfect relationship. So you got to be really careful. That's why I tell people, like, check your motives, okay? If your motives are pure, check your motives. What are the messages that you're receiving? Are those messages telling you to go against, like, against integrity, against morality, against, are they telling you to lie, cheat, or steal, hurt anybody? If they're telling you to hurt somebody, chances are it's not a being of light. They also can give you, like, sometimes people have visuals. Remember I talked about the pleasant smell with the angelic beings? A lot of times, if there is a negative entity, a demonic entity around, you'll get the smell of sulfur or of, like, rotting flesh, though, or like garbage, and there's nothing around. Another way that they show themselves sometimes is through flies, like out of nowhere, just like a swarm of flies, or like a infestation of flies or something, you know. Um, Sometimes the evil manifests that way. Really bad nightmares, difficulty sleeping. Sometimes they too will, you know, you can physically hear them. When they're trying to download something or touch you in a way, maybe trying to make you believe they're an angelic being or whatever, if you get, like, if you feel it right here, right at, like, you know, at the base of your skull, that's not good. You don't want to allow that in. If you feel it at the top of your head, that's good. If you feel it there, it's not good. Um, there's a difference between, like, a demonic entity who is very powerful and, like I said, very cunning, very manipulative, very smart, knows, you know, knows how to play you. I'm telling you, you got to be really, really careful. They can pretend to be somebody else, like, say a loved one who crossed over, and they can, you know, have information. Just because the information is accurate does not mean it's coming from a light source, okay? Just remember that. Just remember that. Um, a lot of times when a demonic or negative entity is around, they'll show you some, you know, giving you a little bit of what you want, but it never lasts. If it comes from the dark side, it's not going to last, or it's going to hurt other people in the process, or it's going to crumble at some point. Where if it comes from the light, it might start out smaller than you wanted. It might come together in a way that you're like, holy crap, how did that happen? No pun intended again. But it will build, it'll be successful, and it'll last. It'll be forever or permanent, you know, whatever. Um, and like a ghost or something is different than a demonic entity, okay? A disembodied spirit may be somebody who crossed and hasn't left the physical realm out of fear or whatever reason, or that would be more of a haunting. You know, it's different. Another difference is a haunting or a disembodied spirit, or that kind of thing is in this physical realm. A demonic entity and an angelic entity can come into this into the physical realm, but normally when they're sending messages, they're still in their realm. They're in the spiritual realm, and they're sending the messages. When a loved one connects with somebody, with, you know, sending you messages, or if you, you know, you get a message through a medium, or yourself or whatever, they're sending that message from their spirit realm where they're meant to be. They're not coming into the physical realm. Even if you feel them touch you, it's coming almost like a hologram, or like a Skype, or, you know, video chat or something like that. A disembodied entity, a disembodied spirit, or like a haunting spirit, a ghost, so to speak, is in the physical realm, and they don't belong here. Okay? Another reason for haunting can also be if it's unintelligent haunting. It's actually not a being at all. It's not a disembodied spirit. It's not demonic. It could be just a memory. And we'll talk about that in another video. Like, if something bad or good happens in a particular area, or something so traumatic, or makes such an impact on that on that moment in time, in that moment in time and space, that it actually, like, it records itself and it keeps playing over and over, and that could come off as like a haunting. It could scare you, you know. Imagine if you see like a man walking up and down your hallway every morning at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, the first couple times you see it, you're gonna, well, I don't know if you'd be frightened, but you might try to interact with it or whatever. An unintelligent haunting won't interact with you. It's just like it's on a loop. It's just going to keep going over. An intelligent being, an intelligent haunting, you'll find more interaction, you know? And it could grow more and more and more intense or whatever. They don't belong in this realm. So even if you feel like, oh, no, that's not bad or whatever, they don't belong here. So if you really think it's not a negative entity, then help them to cross over, or, you know, find somebody to help you help them. One thing when you're dealing with spirit, whether it be you're being plagued by a demonic entity, and let me tell you, demonic entities might come off initially. I've had so many stories told to me, stories I've experienced myself, where sometimes you just don't know. Discernment's so important. How do you find discernment? It's through your own solid foundation, your own truth, your own knowledge of truth. You know, yeah. But it can make your life miserable, and it affects others around you. Okay, if you're ever going to deal in the spirit realm, whether it's, you know, trying to astral travel or go to different realms, or deal with hauntings, or angelic beings, you know, you want a message from your angels or whatever, or you start working with tools to do that. Um, One thing I want you to really, really think about, well, check your motives, as always. I always say that. But another thing is arrogance and a stubborn, non teachable, resistant attitude is going to get you nowhere but in deep, deep trouble. Okay? You're going to find yourself in a world of spiritual chaos, confusion. Sometimes it feels like quicksand, you know, like spiritual invisible quicksand. Get hit by all angles. You need to humble yourself. Be teachable, you know? Discern. Use discernment. Keep an open mind. Hear with discernment. Ask for protection. Don't be so adamant that you're going to get what you want. You're going to work with a specific being, or you're going to connect with your loved one, or you're going to manifest that whatever it is, or you're going to beat that, you're going to get that demon out of here and beat him, or whatever it is. Your arrogance has no place in the spirit realm. Humble yourself. No, I'm not saying be weak, especially if you're going up against, you know, the negative. Humble yourself. Have your confidence in God and the strength through God. Okay, does that make sense? And be open, and, you know, guidance. Like I said, the angels are here to help us. If we only are, you know, if we have tunnel vision and we only want what we want and that's it, and we're stubborn and we're not going to listen to anybody in this realm or the next, or if we think we know everything and we're unteachable, you're going to be the one that doesn't hear the guidance. You're not going to hear it because you're not open to it. So I know I didn't like number them specifically. I should have. I'm sorry. In the next video, I'll try to do that with how to, you know, like, how do you know you're connecting with your loved one? How do you know if your loved one's okay? Receiving messages from loved ones that have crossed, both, you know, human beings and animals too. I'll try to be a little more of a clear outline. But I hope this helps a little bit. And I want to tell some stories too, because I got so many, you know, and then I start to make the video to tell them and something happens. Like I said, I do have to step back from a few things, not videos or anything, but there's been some pretty heavy, intense spiritual attacks going on, and I think I know where they're coming from. I just got some work to do in that arena. You know, I do it every day for other people, and I think I got to do it for me just a little bit. All right, so hope this helps a little bit. Hope you guys are having a great day, and hopefully my second part 2 to this will be up later tonight. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.